The message came on a quiet morning. Ho was sitting in his small apartment on Earth, drinking tea and watching the rain fall outside his window. He was 54 years old, retired from the military for 3 years now, and he had learned to enjoy the simple things in life. His body carried the scars of 25 years of service, but his mind was still sharp. His tablet made a soft sound. He picked it up and saw a message from the Galactic Union's legal office. For a moment, he felt confused. He had no business with the Union anymore. He was just a retired soldier living on a veteran's pension. He opened the message and read it twice to make sure he understood. His grandfather, Sung, had died 6 months ago at the age of 112. Ho had not been close to the old man. Sung had always been distant, always keeping secrets, always traveling to places he never talked about. But now, it seemed, the old man had left something behind. An inheritance, a military installation on a moon called Seven. Ho had never heard of the place. He searched for it on his tablet and found almost nothing. It was a small, barren moon in a forgotten sector of space. No colonies, no resources, no strategic value. The base there had been abandoned for over 200 years. He was still staring at the message when the door opened and his daughter walked in. Was 23 years old, with her mother's kind eyes and her father's stubborn jaw. She worked as an engineer on cargo ships, but she was between jobs right now. She had been staying with her father for the past month, and Ho had enjoyed having her around. "What is that look on your face?" asked, setting down a bag of groceries. "You look like someone told you a strange joke." "Your great-great-grandfather left me something," Ho said. "An old military base on a moon I have never heard of." Raised her eyebrows. "Is it worth anything?" "I do not think so. The records say the moon is worthless." Walked over and looked at the tablet. She was always curious, always wanting to know more. "We should go see it," she said. "Maybe there is something interesting there." Ho thought about it. He had nothing else to do. And there was something in the back of his mind, a small voice that said this was important. His grandfather had been a secretive man. Maybe there was a reason he had kept this place hidden. "All right," Ho said, "let us go claim it." 2 weeks later, they arrived at the regional headquarters of the Galactic Union. It was a massive space station orbiting a gas giant, filled with aliens of every shape and size. Ho had seen many species during his military career, but this place still made him feel small. They walked through the crowded hallways until they reached the office of Colonial Claims. A bored-looking alien with gray skin and too many eyes sat behind a desk. He looked at Ho's documents and made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Seven," the alien said. "You came all this way for that." "It is my inheritance," Ho said calmly. "I wish to register my claim." The alien shrugged and typed something into his computer. "Wait here. Someone will process your request." They waited for 2 hours. Finally, a door opened and a tall alien walked out. He had a hard shell covering his body, compound eyes that reflected the light, and mandibles that clicked when he spoke. Ho recognized the species. This was one of the major powers in the Galactic Union. "I am Admiral," the alien said, his voice buzzing slightly. "I oversee this sector. I was told that a human is claiming the old base on Seven." "That is correct," Ho said. Admiral made a clicking sound that Ho recognized as laughter. "Do you know what you are inheriting, human? A pile of rust on a dead rock. That base has been empty for 2 centuries. There is nothing there but dust and broken machines." "It belonged to my family," Ho said. "I want it." "Humans," Admiral said, shaking his head. "You always hold on to useless things. Is it sentiment? Do you think your ancestor's ghost is waiting for you there?" Other aliens in the office were watching now. Some of them laughed. A bird-like creature with bright feathers, Counselor, walked over with amusement in her eyes. "Let him have it," said. "What harm can it do? The moon has no value. If the human wants to live in an old ruin, that is his choice." Perhaps he hopes to find treasure, Admiral said, and the room filled with more laughter. Humans always dream bigger than they should. Stepped forward, her face red with anger. You should not speak to my father that way. He served for 25 years. He fought in the border wars. He deserves respect. Admiral looked down at her with cold eyes. The border wars were a small conflict in a forgotten corner of space. Humans played a small role in a small fight. That does not make your father important. Ho put his hand on shoulder. It is fine, he said quietly. Let them laugh. But father, we did not come here to fight, Ho said. We came here to sign papers. Let us do that and leave. Wanted to argue, but she saw the calm look in her father's eyes. She had seen that look before. It was the look he got when he was waiting, when he knew something that others did not. She stepped back and said nothing more. The paperwork took another hour. Admiral signed the final document with obvious amusement, officially transferring ownership of the 7 base to Ho. Congratulations, the Admiral said, his mandibles clicking with mockery. You are now the proud owner of nothing. Ho took the documents and bowed politely. Thank you for your time, Admiral. As they walked back through the station, could not hold her tongue any longer. Why did you let them treat us like that? You are a decorated veteran. You have medals. You have honor. Honor is not about what others think of you, Ho said. It is about what you know in your own heart. Those aliens laughed because they think they know everything. But there are things in this universe that they have never seen. What do you mean? Ho did not answer. He was not sure himself, but something in his gut told him that his grandfather had not left him a worthless ruin. Sung had been many things, but he had never been a fool. They boarded their small ship and set a course for 7. The journey would take 3 days through empty space. On the final day, as the moon appeared on there, noticed something strange. She ran a scan of the surface and compared it to the official maps in the Union database. Father, she said slowly, the base is not where the records say it should be. What do you mean? According to the Union, there is an old installation on the northern plateau, but I am detecting structures in a completely different location. Underground structures, big ones. Ho looked at the screen. His heart beat a little faster. The records are wrong, said, or someone changed them on purpose. The ship descended through the thin atmosphere. Below them, a barren landscape of gray rock stretched in every direction, and somewhere beneath that rock, something was waiting. Something that had been hidden for 200 years. Back down in the weak gravity, through the window, Ho and could see nothing but an empty wasteland. No buildings, no structures, nothing but rocks and shadows. Are you sure this is the right place? Ho asked. Checked her instruments again. The underground structures are directly below us, about 50 meters down, but I do not see any entrance. They put on their environmental suits and stepped outside. The sky was black, filled with distant stars. The gas giant that 7 orbited hung on the horizon, massive and silent, its bands of color glowing faintly. Ho walked slowly across the rocky ground. He was looking for something, though he did not know what. His grandfather had left him this place for a reason. There had to be a way inside. Father, look at this, called out. She was standing near a large boulder. When Ho walked closer, he saw what she had found. There was a small metal plate set into the rock, almost invisible under a layer of dust. Wiped it clean with her glove. It was a handprint scanner, old technology but still recognizable. Should I try it? Asked. Ho shook his head. It was left to me. I should be the one. He removed his glove and pressed his bare hand against the cold metal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a soft blue light scanned across his palm. A quiet beep echoed through his helmet radio. The ground began to shake. 20 meters away, a section of rock slid aside, revealing a dark opening. Stairs led down into the blackness. Let out a breath. It recognized you. After 200 years, it still recognized your bloodline. My grandfather knew what he was doing, Ho said quietly. He planned this. They walked down the stairs together. Emergency lights flickered on as they descended, old but still working. The air inside was stale but breathable. Checked her scanner and confirmed that the life support systems were activating. The stairs ended in a large chamber. It was some kind of entrance hall with high ceilings and walls made of metal. Everything was covered in a thin layer of dust, but there was no rust, no decay. The materials used here were built to last. This is not normal colonial construction, said, running her hand along the wall. These alloys are not in any modern database. This is something different. Ho walked to the center of the room. There was a pedestal there, with another scanner built into its surface. He placed his hand on it without hesitation. The entire base came alive. Lights turned on everywhere. Screens flickered to life. The hum of power systems filled the air, and then in front of them a hologram appeared. It was a woman. She wore an old military uniform, the kind that Ho had only seen in history books. Her face was strong and serious, with eyes that held a deep intelligence. She looked at them as if she could really see them. "Welcome," the hologram said. "I am Arya, the artificial intelligence of this installation. Genetic scan complete. You are Ho, direct descendant of Commander Sunyi. You are authorized for full access." Ho stared at the hologram. "Sunyi, that was my great-grandmother, but I never knew she was a commander." "Commander Sunyi was one of the founders of this facility," Arya said. "She sealed it 214 years ago, with instructions to wait for a worthy descendant. You are the first of her bloodline to return." Stepped forward. "What is this place? It is not on any official records." "That is correct," Arya said. "This facility was deliberately erased from all Galactic Union databases. It is one of 12 seed vaults created by the First Fleet of humanity." "The First Fleet?" Ho asked. "I have heard of that. It was humanity's military force during the First Interstellar War, but the history books say we barely survived that war. We were almost destroyed." Arya was silent for a moment. Then she said, "The history books are wrong." Another hologram appeared. This time it showed space battles, massive ships firing weapons that lit up the darkness. Ho watched in shock as human vessels tore through enemy fleets like they were made of paper. "During the First War, humanity possessed technology far beyond anything in the current Galactic Union," Arya explained. "Our weapons, our ships, our defensive systems were all superior. The war ended not because we were losing, but because we had already won." "Then why do the records say we almost lost?" asked. "Because humanity chose to hide its true strength." The hologram changed again. Now it showed a meeting of human leaders, their faces serious and tired. One of them was Sunyi. "After the war, our leaders faced a choice," Arya continued. "We could reveal our power and become the dominant species in the galaxy, but that would make us a threat. Every other species would unite against us out of fear. There would be more wars, more death, more suffering. So they hid everything," Ho said slowly. "They pretended to be weak." "Correct. The advanced fleet was dismantled. The technology was hidden in 12 seed vaults across the galaxy. Humanity presented itself as a minor species, no threat to anyone. The plan was to keep the peace, to grow slowly, to earn trust over time." Shook her head in disbelief. "For 200 years, humans have been mocked and dismissed. Other species think we are nothing, and all this time we had the power to crush them." "Yes," Arya said simply. Ho felt something heavy settle in his chest. He thought about Admiral laughing at him. He thought about all the times humans had been pushed aside, treated as lesser beings. And all along, his ancestors had chosen this. They had chosen to be mocked so that others would not fear them. It was the most human thing he had ever heard. "What is in this vault?" he asked. This facility contains 17 warships of the First Fleet, preserved in perfect condition. It also contains factories capable of producing more weapons, shields, technology that the current galaxy has never seen, everything needed to rebuild humanity's hidden armada. Grabbed her father's arm. "Father, do you understand what this means? We could change everything. Humans would never be laughed at again." "I understand," Ho said, but his voice was not excited, it was worried. Arya seemed to notice his tone. "You are troubled. If we reveal this, what happens? The other species will panic. They will think we have been planning to attack them for 2 centuries. It could start the very war our ancestors tried to prevent." "That is a possibility," Arya admitted. Commander Sunyi understood this risk. That is why she created Protocol Guardian. What is Protocol Guardian? A plan for controlled revelation. It allows you to demonstrate humanity's strength without appearing aggressive. It is designed to earn respect, not create fear, but it requires careful handling. Ho looked around the vast chamber. Somewhere in this base, there were ships that could conquer star systems, weapons that could end civilizations. His ancestors had trusted their descendants to use this power wisely. And now that responsibility had fallen to him, a retired soldier who just wanted to drink tea and watch the rain. "Show me everything," he said. "I need to understand what I am dealing with." Arya nodded. "Follow me, there is much to see." As they walked deeper into the base, stayed close to her father. She could see the weight on his shoulders, the burden he had just inherited. "Father," she said quietly, "what are we going to do?" Ho was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "I do not know yet, but whatever we do, we must do it carefully. 200 years of sacrifice should not be wasted." Behind them, the entrance to the base sealed shut. The moon above was silent and empty. But beneath the surface, the past was waking up and the future was about to change forever. 3 days had passed since Ho and entered the base. In that time, Arya had shown them everything. The 17 warships, sleeping in massive underground hangars. The weapons storage, filled with devices that could not even understand. The factories, cold and silent but ready to wake up at any moment. It was more power than Ho had ever imagined, and it terrified him. He was sitting in the command center, reading through old reports from Commander Sunyi. His great-grandmother had written detailed instructions for whoever would inherit this place. She had known that one day, someone would have to make a difficult choice. "The power we leave behind is not a gift," she had written. "It is a test. Use it wisely and humanity will rise. Use it poorly and everything we sacrificed will mean nothing." Was working at a nearby console, studying the base's systems. She had always been good with machines, but this technology was 200 years ahead of anything she had seen. Every hour, she discovered something new that amazed her. "Father," she said suddenly, "I think we have a problem." Ho looked up. "What kind of problem?" When Arya activated the base, there was a massive energy surge. It only lasted a few seconds, but it was powerful. If anyone was watching this sector, they would have detected it. Ho felt his stomach tighten. "Can you tell if anyone noticed?" Before could answer, Arya appeared beside them. "I have detected 5 vessels entering this system. They are military ships belonging to the Galactic Union. Their commander is General of the Reptilian Alliance." Ho knew that name, was famous for his aggressive tactics and his dislike of humans. He had spoken against human interests in the Union Council many times. "How long until they arrive?" Ho asked. "At their current speed, approximately 4 hours. Stood up quickly. "What do we do? If they find this base, they will take everything. They will say it belongs to the Union." Ho thought carefully. He could not let that happen, but he also could not start a war. There had to be another way. "Arya," he said, "tell me more about Protocol Guardian." Protocol Guardian is designed to reveal humanity's strength in a controlled manner. It activates the base's defensive systems without appearing aggressive. The goal is to demonstrate power while offering peace. Can we use it now? Yes, but once activated, there is no going back. The secret will be exposed. Other species will know that humanity has been hiding its true strength. Ho closed his eyes. This was the moment his ancestors had prepared for. The moment when hiding was no longer possible. He had to decide what kind of future humanity would have. "Activate Protocol Guardian," he said. Deep beneath the moon's surface, machines began to move. Systems that had been sleeping for 2 centuries powered up. The base hummed with energy. Outside, on the barren surface, panels of rock slid aside. Massive platforms rose from underground, carrying weapons that had not seen starlight in 200 years. Orbital defense stations, each one capable of destroying a battleship with a single shot. Watch the displays with wide eyes. There are 24 defense platforms. Each one has targeting systems that can track hundreds of ships at once. This is not just a base. This is a fortress. "It was built to protect," Arya said. "Commander Sunyi wanted a place where humanity could defend itself if needed. She hoped it would never be necessary." "But now it is necessary," Ho said quietly. 2 hours later, a communication signal came through. Ho answered it, and the face of General appeared on the screen. He was a tall reptilian creature with green scales and cold yellow eyes. His teeth showed when he spoke. "Human," said, "I am General of the Galactic Union Defense Force. We detected a massive energy surge from this moon. I am here to investigate." "This is private property," Ho said calmly. "I have legal documents proving my ownership. You have no authority here." Laughed. It was a harsh, unpleasant sound. Legal documents mean nothing when security is at risk. That energy surge suggests you are building weapons. The Union has the right to inspect any potential threat. "There is no threat here." "Then you will not mind if my soldiers take a look." Ho paused. He knew this moment would define everything. He looked at who nodded slightly. Then he looked at Arya, who was waiting for his command. "General," Ho said, "I am going to give you some information. I suggest you listen carefully before you make any decisions. I do not take suggestions from humans." "Then consider it a warning." Ho pressed a button on his console. "Arya, show him." The defense platforms activated their targeting systems. On ship, alarms began to sound. His officers shouted in confusion as their sensors lit up with threat warnings. "What is this?" demanded. 24 orbital defense stations, Ho said. "Each one is locked onto your ships. They use technology that your scientists have never seen. If you try to land, if you try to attack, if you make any hostile move at all, your entire fleet will be destroyed in less than 3 seconds." Stared at the screen. For the first time, his confident expression faltered. "This is impossible. Humans do not have this technology." "We have had it for 200 years, Ho said. "We simply chose not to use it." "You are lying." "Am I? Check your sensors again. Look at the energy readings. Tell me if that looks like a lie." Turned to his officers. They spoke quickly in their own language, their voices high with fear. When looked back at the screen, his eyes had changed. The arrogance was gone. Now there was something else, something that looked like respect. "Where did this come from?" asked. "From our ancestors," Ho said. "From a time when humans were stronger than anyone knew. We hid our power because we wanted peace. We let others mock us because we did not want to be feared. But this is still our home, and we will defend it." There was a long silence. Seemed to be thinking, calculating his options. Finally, he spoke again. "I will report this to the Union Council. They will want answers." "They can have answers," Ho said. "I'm happy to explain, but no one will take this base from me. No one will touch what my family has protected for 2 centuries. Nodded slowly. "You are not what I expected human. Most of us are not." The communication ended. On the screen, watched as fleet slowly turned away. They did not retreat quickly. That would have been too embarrassing, but they left. They will come back, said. With more ships, with political pressure, this is not over. I know, Ho said, but we have time now, time to prepare, time to decide what comes next. Arya appeared beside them. There is another matter. During the confrontation, I detected a small ship hiding behind one of the nearby asteroids. It appears to be a human vessel. Ho frowned. A human ship who would be out here. The ship's registration belongs to the Union fleet. A transport vessel assigned to Lieutenant, a human officer stationed at the regional headquarters. Remembered hearing that name at the colonial office. Why would a human officer be following us? Unknown, Arya said, but she is requesting permission to land. Ho thought about it. Another human, out here in the middle of nowhere. It could be a spy sent by the Union, or it could be something else. Someone who had seen what happened and wanted to help. Let her land, Ho said, but keep the defense systems ready. I want to know why she is here. Outside the base, a small ship descended through the thin atmosphere, and somewhere in the galaxy, word was already spreading. The humans had shown their teeth, and nothing would ever be the same again. Lieutenant was young, maybe 25 years old. She had short black hair and sharp eyes that moved quickly, taking in everything around her. When she stepped off her ship, she looked at the defense platforms rising from the moon's surface with an expression of pure wonder. I knew something was strange, she said as Ho and met her at the landing pad. When you came to register your claim, Admiral laughed at you, but I saw your face. You were too calm, you knew something. So you followed us? Asked. Her voice was suspicious. I intercepted a message from General, explained. He was planning to seize your base and claim it for the Union. I thought you should know. But when I got here, I saw what happened. I saw his entire fleet back down. She shook her head slowly. I have been in the Union fleet for 3 years. I have never seen anyone make retreat. Ho studied her carefully. She seemed honest, but he had learned not to trust too quickly. Why do you care? You work for the Union. I work for humanity, said firmly. The Union treats us like second-class citizens. Every promotion I earn, I have to fight twice as hard for. Every time I speak in a meeting, I get interrupted by aliens who think humans have nothing important to say. I am tired of it. Looked at her father. He nodded slightly. Come inside, Ho said. There is much to talk about. They walked through the base together. Eyes grew wider with every room they passed. When Arya appeared and explained the history of the seed vault, had to sit down. 200 years, she whispered. Humans have been hiding this for 200 years. Our ancestors made a choice, Ho said. They chose peace over power. They let us be mocked so that we would not be feared. But now the secret is out, said. We'll tell the Council. By tomorrow, every species in the galaxy will know what happened here. Yes, Ho agreed. And that is why I need to think carefully about what comes next. Arya appeared on a nearby screen. I have been monitoring communications across the sector. News of the confrontation is spreading rapidly. Admiral has already contacted the High Council. They are calling an emergency meeting. How are people reacting? Asked. There is confusion and fear among most species, but among human communities there is something different. Arya paused. There is hope. Ho understood. For 2 centuries, humans had been the quiet ones, the weak ones, the ones who were always last in line. Now, suddenly, everything had changed. Humans everywhere were learning that they had never been weak at all. Admiral is requesting a direct communication, Arya announced. Put him through, Ho said. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. He looked different now. The arrogance was gone from his compound eyes. His mandibles were still, not clicking with mockery. Ho said. His voice was formal, almost respectful. The High Council wishes to meet with you. They want to discuss what happened and what it means for the Union. When I was in your office, you laughed at me, Ho said calmly. You called my inheritance worthless. You said humans always dream bigger than they should. Was silent for a moment. I was wrong. Yes, you were. The council meeting is in 3 days, continued. They expect you to attend. They have many questions. I am sure they do. Ho thought about it. Going to the council would be dangerous. There would be species who wanted to take the base by force. Others would try to manipulate him with politics. But staying hidden was no longer an option. I will come, Ho said, but I have conditions. What conditions? First, I will bring my own security. No Union soldiers will come near me or my ship. Hesitated, then nodded. Acceptable. Second, I want a guarantee of safe passage. If anything happens to me, the defense platforms on 7 will activate automatically. And there are 11 other bases like this one, hidden across the galaxy. If I do not return safely, they will all wake up. His eyes widened. 11 more. My ancestors were careful planners. There was fear in his voice now. I will inform the council of your conditions. Good, I will see you in 3 days. The communication ended. Let out a breath she had been holding. That was a bluff, she said. We do not know where the other seed vaults are. We do not need to know, Ho said. They just need to believe they exist. Laughed softly. You are better at this than I thought. The scared old soldier act was very convincing. Ho smiled slightly. 25 years of military service teaches you many things, including when to seem weak and when to seem strong. The next 3 days passed quickly. Ho and prepared for the council meeting. Arya provided them with information about the different species they would face, their politics, their fears, their desires. The key is Elder, Arya explained. She is a crystalline being, the oldest member of the High Council. She has lived for over 3,000 years. If anyone remembers the First War, it is her. Will she support us? Asked. Unknown. She rarely speaks in council meetings, but when she does, everyone listens. On the morning of their departure, Ho stood alone in the command center. He was looking at a hologram of his great-grandmother, Commander Sunyi. I do not know if I am the right person for this, he said quietly. I am just a retired soldier. I never wanted power. I just wanted a quiet life. The hologram did not respond. It was just a recording, not a real AI. But somehow, looking at her face, Ho felt stronger. You chose this burden for a reason, he continued. You believed that one day someone in our family would know what to do. I hope you were right. Appeared at the door. Father, it is time. Ho nodded. He took one last look at his great-grandmother's face, then turned and walked away. Their ship lifted off from 7. Behind them, the defense platform stood ready, watching the stars. Arya's voice came through the speakers. Good luck, Ho. The future of humanity rests on your shoulders now. Ho looked out at the endless darkness of space. Somewhere out there, aliens were waiting. Some would want to destroy him, others would want to use him, and a few, maybe, would be willing to listen. He thought about his ancestors who had given up glory for peace. He thought about his grandfather who had kept this secret his entire life. And he thought about his daughter who would inherit whatever world he helped create. I will not let them down, he said softly. The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, and the stars stretched into lines of light. The council was waiting, and Ho was ready to show them what humanity truly was. The High Council chamber was the largest room Ho had ever seen. It was built inside a massive space station at the center of the Galactic Union. Thousands of seats rose in circles around a central platform, filled with representatives from hundreds of different species. The air was thick with tension. Ho walked toward the platform with on his right and on his left. Every eye in the room was on them. Some looked at them with fear, others with anger, a few with curiosity, but no one was laughing anymore. Admiral stood near the front, his compound eyes following Ho's every step. General was there too, his scales darker than before, his yellow eyes cold with resentment. Counselor, the bird-like alien, watched from her seat with feathers slightly raised. At the highest point of the chamber sat Elder. She was unlike anything Ho had ever seen. Her body was made of crystal, glowing softly with inner light. She had no face, no eyes, but somehow Ho knew she was watching him. Ho of Earth, a voice announced. You are called before this council to explain your actions and your intentions. Ho stepped onto the central platform. He stood straight, his hands at his sides, his face calm. I am here, he said. His voice echoed through the chamber. Admiral spoke first. 3 days ago, you activated weapons of unknown origin on the Moon 7. You threatened General's fleet. You claimed that humans have been hiding advanced technology for 200 years. Is this true? Yes, Ho said simply. The chamber erupted in noise. Shouts of anger, cries of disbelief, whispered conversations in dozens of languages. It took several minutes for the noise to die down. This is a violation of Union treaties, growled. Hidden weapons are a threat to peace. The base must be handed over to Union control. No, Ho said. You do not have a choice, continued. The Union has the power to take it by force. Do you? Ho looked directly at the general. You had 5 warships at 7. You could have attacked at any time, but you did not. You ran away. Because you knew that if you fired a single shot, your entire fleet would be dust. Scales flushed with anger, but he did not respond. Counselor raised her wing for attention. Perhaps we should let the human explain. Why did your ancestors hide this technology? What were they afraid of? Ho took a deep breath. This was the moment he had been preparing for. 200 years ago, humanity fought a war against an alliance of hostile species. The history books say we barely survived. They say we were weak, that other species saved us. But that is not true. He paused, letting his words settle. The truth is that we won. Our technology was far beyond anything in the galaxy. We could have destroyed our enemies completely. We could have conquered every world in our path. We could have become rulers of the entire Union. The chamber was completely silent. But our ancestors made a different choice, Ho continued. They looked at the future and saw 2 paths. One path led to power, but also to endless war. If we revealed our strength, other species would unite against us out of fear. There would be more fighting, more death forever. The other path was harder. It meant giving up glory. It meant being mocked and dismissed. It meant watching our children and be treated as lesser beings. But it also meant peace, real peace, the kind that lasts. Ho looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as he could. My ancestors chose peace. They dismantled their fleet. They hid their technology. They let the galaxy believe that humans were weak. And for 200 years, there has been no major war in this region of space. 200 years of trade, cooperation, and growth, all because my people were willing to be laughed at. Admiral shifted uncomfortably, would not meet Ho's eyes. You mocked us, Ho said. You called us dreamers. You said we always hold onto worthless things, but we were holding onto something valuable. We were holding onto the hope that one day we could be partners instead of conquerors. And now, asked, what do you want now? I want what my ancestors wanted, partnership, equality, respect. Ho's voice grew stronger. I do not want to rule anyone. I do not want to destroy anyone. I just want humans to be treated fairly. Is that too much to ask? For a long moment, no one spoke. Then a sound filled the chamber, a soft chime like crystal being struck. Everyone turned to look at Elder. She was glowing brighter now, her crystalline body pulsing with light. When she spoke, her voice came from everywhere at once. I remember, she said. The chamber fell absolutely silent. I remember the first war, Elder continued. I was young then, only 500 years old. I saw the human ships in battle, I saw their power, and I saw what they chose to do with it. She paused, her light shifting colors. They could have enslaved us all. Every species in this room owes its freedom to the choice those humans made. They sacrificed their pride so that we could live in peace. And how have we repaid them? With mockery, with disrespect, with scorn. Opened his mouth to speak, but Elder's voice cut through the air. Be silent, General. You threatened a man who was defending his home. You tried to take what was not yours. If anyone should be answering questions today, it is you. Closed his mouth and looked away. Elder turned her attention back to Ho. What do you propose, human? Ho had thought about this for 3 days. He knew exactly what he wanted to say. I propose a partnership. Humanity will share the technology in the seed vaults with the Union, not as a gift but as equals working together. We will teach your scientists what we know. We will help build a stronger defense for everyone. And in return, asked. In return, humans will be recognized as full partners in the Union. No more discrimination, no more mockery. When humans speak in this chamber, they will be heard. And if we refuse, asked, his voice bitter. Ho looked at him calmly. There are 11 other seed vaults hidden across the galaxy. If you refuse, if you try to take what is ours by force, we will defend ourselves. And I promise you, General, you do not want to see what happens when humans stop being peaceful. The threat hung in the air, but it was not just a threat, it was also a truth. Elder chimed softly. I call for a vote, all in favor of accepting the humans' proposal. Lights began to appear across the chamber as representatives voted. Green for yes, red for no. At first, the votes were mixed. But then, as more and more species saw Elder's light glowing green, the tide turned. When the count was finished, the vote was clear. The proposal was accepted. Admiral stepped forward. His mandibles clicked nervously. Ho, on behalf of the Union, I offer a formal apology for the way you were treated, and I extend the hand of partnership to humanity. Ho looked at the Admiral for a long moment. Then he reached out and shook his hand. Apology accepted, he said. The chamber erupted in applause. Not everyone was happy, but enough were, and that was a start. 3 weeks later, Ho stood on the surface of 7, watching a Union transport ship land. Scientists from a dozen species were coming to study the technology hidden beneath the moon. Was already organizing teams, translating Arya's explanations, making sure everything went smoothly. Walked up beside him. She had been appointed as the official Union liaison to the base. It was a promotion she had never expected. How does it feel, she asked, to change history? Ho thought about it. He thought about his ancestors who had made the hard choice. He thought about his grandfather who had kept the secret. He thought about all the humans who had endured mockery and disrespect for 200 years. It feels right, he said finally. Called out from across the landing pad. Father, they are asking about the defense platforms. They want to know how they work. Ho smiled. Tell them I will be there in a moment. He took one last look at the stars. Somewhere out there, 11 other seed vaults were still waiting. Maybe one day they would be found too. Maybe one day all of humanity's secrets would be revealed. But for now, this was enough. Arya's voice came through his earpiece. Ho, I want to thank you. Commander Sunyi would be proud of what you have done. I hope so, Ho said softly. I hope she is watching. He turned and walked toward the base, toward the future, toward whatever came next. The humans were no longer hiding, and the galaxy would never forget it.